As Goming soared through the desert skies, Lloyd and Javier embarked on a mission to locate underground caves that could expedite the construction of a crucial waterway. Employing his surveying skill, Lloyd scoured the landscape, but the elusive caves remained concealed beneath the desert sands. What Lloyd needs right now are some underground tunnels made by some rebels. Hundreds of years ago, some religious types dug a hideout to avoid oppression. And now it is being used by a rebel army. Realizing the futility of their search from above, Lloyd resolved to seek out a rebel faction rumored to occupy the underground tunnels they sought. Shahherazad, vigilant and wary of the rebels' presence, confronted Javier outside Lloyd's quarters. Determined to protect her charge, she demanded entry, citing the potential peril of leaving Lloyd unguarded. Yet Javier, unwavering in his loyalty to Lloyd, rebuffed Shahherazad's concerns, insisting that Lloyd's judgment superseded any perceived threat. Inside, however, Lloyd's fate took a treacherous turn. In a daring and covert maneuver, assailants infiltrated Lloyd's chamber through the window, swiftly spiriting him away. Outside, Shahherazad clashed with Javier, her sword poised for combat as she sought to breach his steadfast defense. But Javier, steadfast and resolute, matched her every strike with expert precision, his unwavering resolve unyielding against Shahherazad's relentless assault. Even as he parried her blows, Javier offered guidance, a testament to his commitment to both Lloyd's safety and Shahherazad's potential as a swordmaster. Though Shahherazad resisted his teachings, Javier persisted, spurred by Lloyd's directive to nurture her skills. Inside the dimly lit warehouse, Lloyd found himself bound and surrounded by a group of stern-faced rebels. With his hands tied behind the chair and a bag covering his head, he exuded an air of calm defiance. As the leader of the kidnappers addressed him, questioning his motives in their city, Lloyd remained composed. Despite his precarious situation, he exuded confidence, unnerving the kidnappers with his unwavering demeanor. When prompted to explain his presence, Lloyd deftly maneuvered the conversation, subtly appealing to the rebels' sense of curiosity and empathy. His request for his restraints to be loosened was met with hesitation, yet Lloyd reassured them of his compliance, acknowledging their strength and his own vulnerability. The leader observed Lloyd's calm demeanor, with a hint of curiosity evident in his voice. He questioned Lloyd's unexpected composure, wondering if he had anticipated their abduction of him. In response, Lloyd acknowledged the tense situation, acknowledging the likelihood of discord arising from a representative sent by Samarkand. His words carried a hint of amusement, suggesting a foresight into the rebels' reaction. However, unbeknownst to the rebels, Lloyd harbored knowledge of their future actions, gleaned from a novel depicting the events yet to unfold. He understood the pivotal role Termez would play in the rebellion, along with the consequences of his eventual demise. Termez, the leader, made a decision that defied his initial instincts, ordering Lloyd to be untied. Amidst the tension, a glimpse into Term's inner conflict emerged, his thoughts drifting to a poignant memory of his child's struggle for survival. Haunted by the memory of his child's suffering and the desperate need for water, Termez found himself indebted to Lloyd, whose actions had brought salvation to his family and the city. Termes's command to his comrades to remain vigilant was met with a mischievous grin from Lloyd. The rebels were about to attack, but as Lloyd began his tale, the rebels, initially poised for action, found themselves captivated by his narrative. With animated gestures and expressive storytelling, Lloyd recounted the myriad trials and triumphs he had faced over the past 2 years. From the humble beginnings of paying off his family's debts to the harrowing encounters with formidable foes such as the ant beasts and Gigatitan, Lloyd's storytelling transported his audience through a whirlwind of adventure and danger. With each twist and turn of the tale, the rebels found themselves drawn deeper into Lloyd's world, their reactions mirroring the highs and lows of his journey. Lloyd's impassioned delivery left no doubt as to the authenticity of his experiences, captivating his listeners and eliciting a range of emotions from them. As the story unfolded, Lloyd's charisma and flair for storytelling proved to be a potent combination, weaving a tapestry of intrigue and excitement that held his audience spellbound until the very end. The morning light revealed Termez perched atop Goming, the majestic creature carrying him and Lloyd through the sky. Confusion etched across his face. Termez voiced his bewilderment, questioning their destination and how they had arrived at this point. Lloyd, unfazed by Termez's disorientation, responded matter-of-factly, informing him of their intended meeting with the Queen. Termez, still perplexed, struggled to recall the events that had led them to their current airborne journey. Attempting to clarify matters, Lloyd offered to recount his journey from the beginning. However, before he could launch into his elaborate narrative once more, Termez interjected, pleading with him to spare him the lengthy retelling. Acknowledging Termez's plea, Lloyd summarized their purpose succinctly. He reiterated the plan to secure the rebels' underground hideout for the construction of his waterway and to seek asylum for them in Magentano. Termez, now remembering their discussions, expressed his understanding. With a reassuring tone, Lloyd affirmed his commitment to securing asylum for the rebels and their families. In the depths of the Magentano royal palace, Queen Alicia oversaw the interrogation of Cannavaro, a dark mage caught in her grasp. Under a spell, Cannavaro confessed to being influenced by a figure named Targa before his coughs of blood prompted the Queen to halt the proceedings. Queen Alicia's mind buzzed with thoughts of Targa's involvement, a puzzle she was determined to unravel. Her focus shifted when informed of Lloyd Frontera's unexpected presence, stirring her curiosity about his motives for being in Magentano rather than Isfahan. Upon meeting Lloyd, Queen Alicia swiftly granted his request for asylum for Termez and his followers. Lloyd's ease in securing such a favor puzzled Termez, raising questions about his true nature and capabilities. Acknowledging Lloyd's success, Queen Alicia expressed her satisfaction with his execution of her orders, though Lloyd's discomfort hinted at his reluctance to take on further responsibilities. Despite Lloyd's attempt to mask his feelings, Queen Alicia sensed his hesitation and probed his true intentions, causing him to sweat nervously under her scrutiny. As Queen Alicia approached Lloyd, her probing questions and playful banter revealed her keen awareness of his inner desires, unsettling Lloyd as he realized the unexpected challenge she posed to his laid-back lifestyle. Meanwhile, Shahherazad and Javier were still fighting. As Shahherazad relentlessly pressed her assault, Javier remained steadfast, guarding Lloyd's room with unwavering determination. Despite his resolve, Javier couldn't help but wonder when Lloyd would return to relieve him from his duty. Shahherazad unleashed her aura, forcing him to draw his sword in defense. Javier recognized the signs of Shahrazad's progression towards mastery, noting her increasing stability and control over her abilities. However, before he could fully process the situation, the door suddenly swung open, catching him off guard. In the chaos that ensued, Shahrazad's attack narrowly missed Lloyd, the force of it tearing off his clothes. Anxious and alarmed, Javier cried out for Lloyd's attention, expressing his concern for the potential danger they faced. Lloyd's arrival brought a brief respite, but his peculiar behavior and the sudden recitation of complex engineering knowledge left Shahrazad bewildered and overwhelmed. Despite her efforts to resist, she succumbed to a deep slumber induced by Lloyd's strange words. With Shahrazad incapacitated, Lloyd swiftly turned his attention to Javier, ready to embark on their next task. However, to his surprise, Javier had also succumbed to sleep. Lloyd commenced the construction of the waterway, meticulously following his plan to ensure its success. The first step is to go around and survey the maze-like tunnels. This will be easy thanks to the map Termez gave. Next is to check which tunnels to drill and to close off to make a straight path. Then, block off the unused tunnels during the day, and drill holes at night using Javier's mana blasts. Although Lloyd is in a hurry, this whole thing could come crashing down if he isn't careful. To expedite the process, Lloyd enlisted the help of the skeleton squad. When questioned by Termez about their identity, Lloyd casually explained that they were estate workers he had summoned from Magentano. Addressing the squad, Lloyd emphasized the importance of their task and the risks involved, invoking the memory of sacrifices made by ancient builders. He singled out Tords, a former conman who had swindled him in the past, to take on a particularly perilous role. As Tords hesitated, Lloyd urged him forward, reminding him of the significance of his contribution. However, Tords protested, prompting Lloyd to deflect blame onto his own concerns about Javier's clothing. In the midst of their exchange, a system message interrupted, highlighting Lloyd's questionable moral decisions. Unperturbed, Lloyd defended his actions, determined to impart meaning to Tords' life through the task at hand. Meanwhile, in the depths of hell, Helcaros, the king of hell, observed Lloyd's actions with intrigue, contemplating the outcome of his endeavors. After some squabbling, the leader of the skeleton squad, Turtle Neck, volunteered himself to be the one to make the final strike. With a resolute swing of his pickaxe, Turtle Neck ruptured the barrier, unleashing a torrent of water that surged through the newly opened canal. Yet, his sacrifice was immediate as he was swiftly swept away by the powerful currents. As the water flowed relentlessly through the underground passageways, traversing the barren desert, the city above erupted in jubilation. Citizens marveled at the miraculous arrival of water, their parched land now quenched by the life-giving streams. Amidst the revelry, a child approached Lloyd, offering him a humble bowl filled with the precious liquid. Tears welled in the child's eyes as he presented the gift, acknowledging Lloyd's pivotal role in their newfound abundance. Graciously accepting the offering, Lloyd affectionately patted the child's head, expressing his gratitude. However, the child couldn't help but question Lloyd's peculiar attire, noting his lack of clothes. With a nonchalant smile, Lloyd dismissed the concern, stating his aversion to purchasing clothing as a frivolous expenditure. After the opening of the Kandara Central Waterway, several other local villages were connected to it. Near the end of this large operation, Lloyd received a new title, the Western-born boxer wearing goat. The title effect is 100% dehydration resistance in all high heat regions. Lloyd couldn't help but feel indifferent, considering his plans for a life of leisure ahead. Termez approached Lloyd, expressing gratitude on behalf of the people he had saved. Kneeling before Lloyd, Termez and his companions pledged their eternal loyalty to the Frontera estate. However, Lloyd, feeling the weight of their gratitude, humbly requested their diligence in serving the estate instead. As the system conveyed Termez and his people's appreciation, granting Lloyd a bonus in approval rating, Lloyd couldn't help but smirk at the acknowledgement, finding it more satisfying than mere expressions of gratitude. Meanwhile, in the royal palace of Isfahan, Sultan Samarkand confronted Lloyd, urging him to become his ally. However, Lloyd, with his characteristic wit, deflected the proposal, citing his preference for a different physique and emphasizing the importance of Princess Shahherazad's heart over any political alliance. Unfazed by Lloyd's refusal, Samarkand shifted his focus to diplomatic matters, preparing to meet with the Magentano delegation. As Lloyd departed, Samarkand harbored a sinister intent, determined to make Lloyd his own, regardless of the obstacles ahead. Samarkand found himself seated across the delegation from Magentano, engaged in tense negotiations. Count Ventura, leading the Magentano group, observed Samarkand's unexpected display of contrition with suspicion, wondering about the Sultan's motives. As Samarkand pledged reparations for past grievances and proposed preventative measures, Count Ventura grew increasingly wary, anticipating a hidden demand. Samarkand's abrupt request for Lloyd Frontera left the Count taken aback, signaling a potentially tumultuous turn in the negotiations. Afterward, Count Ventura relayed the Sultan's request to Lloyd, who, rather than showing concern, appeared to welcome the news with a sinister grin, hinting at a clandestine plan. Meanwhile, Samarkand contemplated the tasks he would assign to Lloyd, unaware of the bizarre spectacle unfolding outside the city. Lloyd, engaged in an exaggerated battle against a minuscule sandworm, orchestrated a performance aimed at portraying himself as unhinged, much to Samarkand's bewilderment. Witnessing the chaotic display, Samarkand swiftly decided to wash his hands of Lloyd, instructing his servants to inform the Magentano delegation to take the seemingly deranged man away. In the dead of night, a weary Samarkand found himself confronted with a series of calamities, from discovering Lloyd's theft of the Padishar, to Princess Shahherazad's inexplicable disappearance. Overwhelmed with frustration and regret, Samarkand could do nothing but silently lament his misfortunes. Morning arrived once again at the tranquil Frontera estate, greeted by the resonant roar of Bibyung, the estate's resident beast, rather than the familiar crowing of a rooster. Yet, despite the unconventional wake-up call, the serenity of the estate remained undisturbed, a haven of peace amidst the bustling world beyond its borders. Amidst the morning routine, a maid approached Count Frontera, a letter in her hands. The letter, penned by his son Julian, brought news of academic success and plans to return home before embarking on his new assignment. With each word, a swell of pride washed over Count Frontera, mingled with a deep sense of affection for his son. Julian's earnest desire to prove himself mirrored the Count's own sentiments, filling him with a profound sense of paternal joy. With a tender smile, he murmured words of reassurance and pride, grateful for the happiness his family brought him. Meanwhile, a revelation from Bayern interrupted the tranquil morning scene. A shipment from Isfahan had arrived, laden with treasures from afar. Venturing outside to inspect the goods, the count was greeted by a sight that filled him with wonder: mountains of chests overflowing with rare luxury items. As the countess marveled at the treasures before them, her mind already envisioning the profits to be made, the count nodded in agreement, his thoughts filled with contentment and gratitude. Despite the countess' newfound enthusiasm for commerce, the count couldn't help but feel a sense of happiness and fulfillment wash over him. As the count and countess strolled through their domain, the air was filled with gratitude from the farmers they passed, offering thanks with nods and smiles. Amidst the bustling activity, they caught sight of the orcs, their rugged figures armed with pickaxes. And a group of humans bumped into the orcs. Suddenly, a light-hearted commotion erupted as the two groups collided, not in conflict, but in an unexpected showdown of dance. The orcs, known for their strength and resilience, surprised onlookers with their nimble footwork and rhythmic movements. With each step, they infused the atmosphere with an infectious energy, their robust frames swaying gracefully to the beat. The human workers, initially taken aback, quickly joined in the impromptu dance-off, matching the orcs move for move. They're a little strange, but they're good people, and orcs. They're good creatures. There's also the skeleton squad. The estate is at peace. It may be a little strange. Okay, perhaps very strange. And the level of strangeness keeps rising. Lloyd's return to the Frontera estate brought with it the usual sense of eccentricity that seemed to follow him wherever he went. Count Frontera, observing his son's unconventional attire, or lack thereof, couldn't help but smile at the sight. Though Lloyd's peculiarities often puzzled him, the Count found solace in the knowledge that his son's return brought him immeasurable joy. As he watched Lloyd with a mixture of amusement and affection, the Count couldn't help but ponder the day when his son would address him as "father," instead of "my lord," a thought that filled him with anticipation and warmth. Meanwhile, in the halls of the Magentano royal palace, Count Ventura relayed the events that transpired in Isfahan to Queen Alicia, detailing the agreement reached with Sultan Samarkand. As he recounted the terms of the agreement, emphasizing Samarkand's unprecedented willingness to sign with a magic-sealed thumbprint, Queen Alicia listened intently, her expression thoughtful and contemplative. She questioned his role in brokering the deal, probing for insight into the motivations behind the treaty. Count Ventura, though hesitant, admitted to his involvement, prompting a further inquiry from the Queen. Suspecting the influence of Lloyd Frontera in the negotiations. However, Queen Alicia's focus quickly shifted to the welfare of her subjects and the stability of the realm. Interrupting Count Ventura's explanation, she emphasized the paramount importance of having a ruler who could labor tirelessly for the benefit of the kingdom. Implicit in her words was a recognition of Lloyd Frontera's abilities and a readiness to harness them fully. As Count Ventura acknowledged the Queen's wisdom, a pang of regret swept through him. Recognizing the implications of his actions, he silently apologized to Lloyd Frontera, knowing that his loyalty lay elsewhere. Meanwhile, Queen Alicia contemplated the delicate balance of power between Magentano and Isfahan, recognizing that trust was the linchpin of any enduring alliance. As Shahherazad stood atop a hill, her gaze fixed upon the sprawling expanse of the Frontera estate, determination coursed through her veins. She clenched her teeth, a steely resolve shining in her eyes. This was the place where Lloyd Frontera, the man she sought, resided. With a firm resolve, she vowed to extract what she sought from him, no matter the cost. Meanwhile, amidst the tranquility of the garden, Count Frontera was engrossed in the meticulous task of trimming plants. His concentration was abruptly interrupted by the sudden appearance of Shahherazad, a figure both unfamiliar and unexpected. Startled, he turned to face her, his expression a mix of surprise and curiosity. Shahherazad wasted no time in introducing herself, revealing her identity as the daughter of Samarkand, the ruler of Isfahan. Count Frontera's astonishment only deepened at this revelation, his mind racing to comprehend the implications of her presence. Puzzled by Shahherazad's purpose for seeking out his son, Count Frontera posed a series of questions, seeking clarity amidst the confusion. However, her response only served to deepen the mystery, that she needs Lloyd in order to sleep at night. Count Frontera was stunned and bewildered. As Shahrazad's words hung in the air, Count Frontera couldn't help but feel a sense of incredulity at the unexpected turn of events. His thoughts turned to Lloyd, realizing that once again, his son had become entangled in a situation beyond comprehension.